Now we can welcome to the stage with much love and gratitude, Erin Barker.
Is it okay that I adjust it? Wow, so following all of those stories, no pressure or anything. Thanks for having me. So my story starts in junior high. When I was in junior high, my mom left my family, which was, you know, terrible and complicated and all of that stuff, but it was also in some ways awesome. Because, hear me out, after that it was just me, my dad, my little brother, and our retriever Samuel. And they were my favorite people in the world, and it was just the four of us, and we had pizza like every night for dinner, which was like my ultimate fantasy at the time. And it also meant that every day after school, I had this coveted hour alone in the house before my brother came home on the elementary school bus. And I would spend this hour almost exclusively playing air guitar to my Bare Naked Ladies CD. And then my brother would come home and we'd eat Oreos and watch Pokemon, and we'd walk our retriever Samuel around the neighborhood, and then I'd go online to the Bare Naked Ladies message boards and post my interpretations of songs, and then my dad would come home and we'd have pizza again, and it would be the perfect day. Every day was the perfect day. Until the night of my 8th grade play. The night of my 8th grade play, after our performance, one of my illustrious castmates, Bethany, came up to me with her mother, and they said to me the 4 words that would live in infamy. Is your dad single? I think back to this moment a lot, and I wonder how my life would be different if I had said no. But I didn't say no, I said yes. And within the year, my dad was married to this woman, and she and her 2 stupid kids were living in my house. This woman, Rebecca, she had 2 kids, Bethany, who I already mentioned, and Robbie. Bethany was the same age as me, and she was the Jesus freak to end all Jesus freaks. Now, I went to church every Sunday, and I was a member of the youth group, but even I was like, all right, Bethany, easy on the Jesus. She was a member of an all-female Christian barbershop quartet called Voices of Praise, and they would wear like matching puffy painted Voices of Praise sweatshirts to school and matching scrunchies. She was not well liked at school. Her brother, Robbie, was a year older than us, and he was a genius. He was building a computer from scratch in his bedroom, and he was also like a musical prodigy or something like that. So this is what I was dealing with. And it became clear very quickly that the perfect life I had had before was gone. First of all, there was no air guitar after school because Bethany and Robbie were there watching me with their judging eyes. Second of all, the only TV show that was ever on in our house was Bethany's favorite show, which was Seventh Heaven. The worst show in the world. And then my dad gave our dog away because stupid Bethany was stupid allergic. And all of this might not have been so bad if it weren't for the fact that I felt like I didn't really know my role in my family anymore. In my family, I had always been the good, smart one, and my brother had been the adorable baby. But now Bethany was the good one, and Robbie was the smart one, and I couldn't compete with either of them in their respective arenas. One night, I heard my dad on the phone with my grandparents, and he was talking about Bethany's choir recital and how good she was, and then he was talking about Robbie, the mathlete, and how smart he was, and then he said, oh, Erin? No, she's not really doing anything. The clincher came at Christmas. What I wanted for Christmas more than anything was a Fender Stratocaster. This very specific Fender Stratocaster that was the exact same color blue as the one played by Ed Robertson of the Bare Naked Ladies. It was hanging up in our local music store. And my dad took me to the store, and he let me play it, and I could tell, like I just knew by the way he was smiling, that he was definitely going to get it for me. And Christmas morning rolled around, And when it did, the guitar was there under the tree, but it was also attached to a card that said, "To Robbie." And that was the moment, guys. That was the moment that I realized that though the good role and the smart role were both taken in my family, there was still one vacancy available. The role of the complete and total asshole. And I assumed it immediately. I started drinking and swearing and just kind of being a general dick to everyone. I egged my own house with eggs from my own refrigerator. Where else was I going to get eggs? And of course, all of this just made Bethany look better and Robbie look smarter and me just look terrible. And I continue on this downward spiral until report card day. And we get our report cards, and I used to be a straight A student, and now I'm making C's and D's, and I'm failing some classes. And I sit there in my room looking at my report card and thinking about how it probably compares to Bethany, the teacher's pet, and Robbie, the genius. And I realized that what will really make me feel better in this moment, what would really be a great idea, would be to light my report card on fire in a kitchen pot in a symbolic gesture of my rebellion against their standards. Unfortunately, I failed to anticipate exactly how much smoke your standard interim report card creates. It turns out it's quite a lot. I don't know what kind of paper they print those things on. But after a few minutes, my room was full of smoke, and my dad and my stepmom were knocking on my door, demanding to know what was going on. So over the next few weeks, it got around school that not only had I set a fire, but that I had been intending to burn my house down and murder my whole family. I don't know if it was my stepmother who lied or if it was Robbie. I know it wasn't Bethany because nobody would ever listen to Bethany. But I'd never corrected anybody because I was faced with a choice of whether it was less embarrassing to be a psychopath or to be emo, and I decided psychopath was the clear choice. So over the course of the year, I'd gone from being the good and smart one to being the asshole to being a psychopath. And I was pretty unhappy about that for a long time. But then we grew up, and I started to realize that maybe these roles never really mattered. Robbie isn't a rocket scientist. He's an IT guy in the Midwest, and Bethany is not the second coming of Christ. She's just some dickhead who lives in Ohio and posts pictures of herself on Facebook in line on Chick-fil-A Day, and it's hard to really be jealous of that, I guess. And so when I think about it, you know, maybe I was never the good one or the smart one or even the asshole, but I'm just some combination of all three. Thanks, guys.